Oh, look out there. Grant Schubert getting way crazy down there at the far end of the course trying to make up some ground. We got the white flag out. Go fast, turn left. We've got one lap run. Can the 10 of Tanner Rinker get by the 99 of Devin Brown? But you got to think, Tim, he knows he's ahead of the 13 of Grant Schubert. So he's got to feel good about the spot that he's in. But, he'd like to have that first spot here in Heat 2.
Grant's having a tough time in turn 2 down there. You watch, Preston's going to go on the inside, and you think Grant can cut in, but he can't.
All right, as he comes wide to the outside, we got a drag race down the front straightaway. On the inside, it's Rinker. On the outside, it's Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, by a nose. Oh, I don't even know if I can tell who won the heat. I'm waiting to look for my scores. Who was it? Was it the 99 of Devin Brown or the 10 of Tanner Rinker? We got to wait for them to finish scoring the rest of the heat, but a fantastic run there by the 10 of Tanner Rinker and the 99 of Devin Brown.
I haven't seen that kind of grit from Devin before. He hung in there tough.
He absolutely.
Gets the win.
99 with the win by a nose. The young driver out of Richmond, Texas, running for Snap-on Tools. He's been plagued with motor problems all season long since he came back after taking a couple of years off. Looks like they finally got that motor dialed in, and that just goes to show if you give the 99 of Devin Brown a solid package, he clearly knows what he's doing behind the wheel of a tri-hull.
He drove the shit out of it right there.
Absolutely, he did. What a fantastic run. The one driver who did struggle was the 17 of Neil Marsh. He was up in second, starting on the outside of row 1, fell all the way back to 5th position. I have a feeling he might be putting that boat back on the trailer to try to do some more diagnostics on what is causing those problems in that motor.
Well, that's their last heat race of the day, so now he's got some time. Him and his team can dig in there, find out what the problem is. They're not going to be rushed, and they can get the 17 back on track.
Absolutely. He's going to have maybe a little bit of a taller task to try to climb the mountain here to go for 4 in a row. I know the person who's probably loving that is the 13 of Grant Schubert, because him and the 17 of Neil Marsh have been doing battles for years. And the last 3 years, the 17 of Neil Marsh has clipped the 13 of Grant Schubert by a very small margin numerous years in a row.
Well, now it's Tanner Rinker.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant needs to be concerned about the number 10 of Tanner, because he is running up front every single heat.
Yep.
And Grant's got to get in there with him.
Oh, absolutely. That's 2 heats in a row now that the 10 of Tanner Rinker has been able to finish ahead of the 13 of Grant Schubert. Or did Grant get by him in qualifying heat? Oh, that's right. The T-bone.
They're 1-1. Right now they're 1-1 for this week.
So it's a wash. So the third and final qualifying heat is going to be big for especially the 10 of Tanner Rinker. He's going to have to find a way to get by the 13 of Grant Schubert and put a pretty big gap between him and the points leader right now. All right, and getting a big thumbs up there from the Neil Marsh for the 99 of Devin Brown. What a great run it was for that young driver. That's the first time he's seen a checkered flag in quite a while. He's probably feeling pretty good with himself right now. They're in qualifying heat number 2 as he was able to pick it up, and then he grabs his little brother. Very excited. His little brother was probably as excited as anybody out there. Comes running down to the dock to see his big brother put a big checkered flag here in qualifying heat number 2 into the cockpit. What a fantastic run. Boy, Tim, this is typical Texas tri-hull, right? It's like you put them all in a jar, you shake them up, you throw it up in the air, and you see what happens.
Roll the dice. But he came to play this weekend. He did not give up. Neil got kind of side by side, maybe even got around him. Devin fought back. Devin was holding a tight line on the extremely rough number 2.
Yeah, it's real rough out there.
And I think that's what made a difference. A couple years ago, the Devin Brown we saw then was maximum trim, maximum out of control.
All over the place.
And now, that was a controlled race he just drove.
Well, I guess that's what happens with experience and age. You maybe realize that the foot mashed all the way is not the best way to do it all the time. But right now, we're going to send it down to our pit reporter, Kay Myers, as she's with the winner of qualifying heat number 2, the 99 of Devin Brown. Take it away, Kay. All right, apologize. We're still dealing with some fallout after the technical difficulty with our live stream and video system. It looks like we're going to try to flag him up here. You flagged him over here, Tim, and he was on a dead sprint from the second he saw you bring him over Oh, boy, what a great run that was for the 99.
Pumped up. He just won a trial.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been a long time for him. Hey, there he is.
Sounds all right, man. Heck of a job. Man, I'll tell you what.
All right, the 99, Devin Brown, dialing it back a little bit, but by dialing it back, he gets it dialed in to a checkered flag here in qualifying heat number 2. And that's, and at the end of the day, you're probably somebody who could give a lot more detail on this. It's not always the best policy to go full throttle and maximum the whole time you're out on the race course because you can get so out of control.
And you make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Mistakes don't win.
No, they do not. They do not.
How about that roll reversal? He goes from landing stuck on top of the buoys to winning the next heat.
And that's what happens in Texas Tri-Hall. Again, you put the drivers in a bucket, you shake it up, you throw it in the air, and you pick one out, and that might be the one who wins. That might be the driver who gets last. You're never going to know in Texas Tri-Hall, and that is what is so fantastic about this newer style of racing in OPC. Again, it didn't come out a couple of years ago, but for the longest time, Tim, the Texas Tri-Hall was very much a regional sport, right down here in Texas with the Southern Professional Outboard Racing Tour. And then with the invention of the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, it sounds like you guys recognized that there was a gem of a class that needed to be showcased on the series, and what a great support class it has been so far here since 2017 over the last 8 years.
Yeah, the crowd loves it. The racers love it. It's entertaining, so it's fantastic. And now we got the big boys following them up.
Absolutely. Formula One's coming out on the water here in just a few minutes as they get ready to dial in the last heat race of the afternoon. Again, for those of you here on the grounds at the Battle on the San Jacinto, don't forget we got a drivers party tonight, so stick around, hang out, come meet your favorite drivers. We got some food, we got some fun. We're going to have a great time here tonight because, hey, you know what? It's on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. We work really hard, but we also like to have a good time.
Well, the second and final heat of Formula One, this is what's gonna make the teams either work all night
Yep.
or be able to relax and not have a stressful night and come in tomorrow, relax to get the job done. So it's going to be very, very good. We're looking forward to it, but it's going to be a tough race. And we've got the most wind of the whole day blowing right now, and it's kind of blowing across.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And looking at the weather trajectory from yesterday, they said tomorrow was going to be even windier than today. So if this is what we're expecting in the late stages of today, boy, it's really going to tee it up for an interesting final tomorrow afternoon, that's for sure.
It really will, especially when the guys that won the first heat, now they got to start behind everybody and they got to be able to pass it. And, the more wind, the rougher water, that becomes harder and harder and harder.
Absolutely, especially on this short course where, sometimes we'll see some of those faster boats when we have a long shoot off the dock. They'll be able to gather enough top end to get up there with the top 2 or 3 boats and make a move. It's such a short shoot down there to turn number 3. Don't be surprised if the likes of Rinker, Anderson, Terry, and Mayo are, maybe at best 4th, 5th, or 6th by the time they get around those first 2 turns. And then they're going to have to work on trying to work their way through traffic, which is a very, very tall order here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series.
I think if those guys come through 4th, 5th range, they're going to be happy on the first lap.
Fair. Absolutely, because they're so far down the start dock. But, boy, it's going to be fun. There is nothing better than the smell of two-stroke on the afternoon. There's something about that sweet mixture of racing fuel and an oil that you mix together in a two-stroke. I mean, you know this better than I, huh?
Smells like racing.
Absolutely, it does. We're going to have these last few boats get turned around here and get the rest of the Formula One boats out on the water. We're going to take.
Be interesting what the drivers' adjustments some of the drivers made.
Absolutely.
Do they change props? Do they stick with what they had? A guy like Ellen Anderson, he won the first heat, didn't have a problem. Does he stay with the same package, or does he tweak that a little bit because he's got to come from the back?
Well, and that's that double-edged sword, right? Like, you want to be happy with what you've done, right? But you can't be complacent. And that's that tipping point, like, do I mess with it or do I keep it the same? And it's really, that experience, the understanding of the race course, your ability to understand how your boat acts when wind picks up and then the course gets a little rougher. All those things are going to factor in to the decisions that these guys made. And I would imagine, especially like you said earlier, for the likes of 52 Rinker and Dustin Terry, we may see a little bit more tinkering from them because all they know, I got to keep that bright blue number 17 machine on my right side and behind me.
Well, and Chris Rinker has got to jump Dustin off the dock.
Oh, absolutely. That's the, as far as when we go back the past 5, that's the race off the dock that we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on because, those two are probably going to be sitting in the cockpit pre-race and they're going to be staring each other eye to eye and they're going to be going after it here in this second qualifying heat.
Don't forget about Jeremiah Mayo. He's starting up in
front of all of them. And
so he's the guy that has an advantage in my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention Jeremiah Mayo, he may not necessarily on a race weekend have the fastest boat, right? He may not have the best setup, but he's consistent and he is extremely hard to pass. Because of his aggressive nature, he is comfortable driving the boat all over the course. He doesn't need to stay in one lane. And the interesting thing is the guys behind him, they know that. The question is do they have a counter move for it?
That's right. So we are going to be teeing up an exciting heat 2 to cap off today's racing, and it's been a doozy.
Yeah, it absolutely has. These guys put on a fantastic show. They're pushing each other to the limit every second they're on the race course. There's a healthy amount of respect for one another. They race safely, but they do absolutely race hard. And I think we're probably going to see the hardest heat of racing so far today coming up here in just a few minutes with this Formula One second qualifying heat as we wrap up Saturday action here at the Battle on the San Jacinto.
I agree with that because you don't have a lot of time. You got a short course. And the clock is ticking on the season, and it just keeps on going. You can't stop time. So
Nope.
we're gonna see a good battle here.
Absolutely, we are. All right, looks like we're starting to get the drivers lined up on the start pontoon. No, looks like the 52 of Chris Rinker's right over there. Where it looks like we might be waiting for the last couple of boats to get in the water. Yes, the 24 of Spencer Love, and it looks like the 13 of Grant Schubert has got everything back together. Hopefully they've got that thing dialed back in here for the second qualifying heat as we saw him pull to the infield in heat number 1, and it was very frustrating for the young driver from Richmond, Texas, in that Captain Mark sponsored entry. And then we got, here comes the 99 of Travis Yates as well, making his way down to the start dock. So just a couple of more boats to get out on the water, and they'll run a hot lap. We'll get them lined up again, reverse order of points collected so far. So that's 17 of Dylan Anderson, who qualified on the pole with a fast lap qualifier, sub 26.5 seconds. He's going to move all the way to the end of the dock, and he's going to have to navigate his way through traffic. Now, one thing I'm curious about, Tim, is, that 4-stroke package, it seems to like a sweeper, more of a sweeper type turn versus that real hard pin to pin with the lighter 2-stroke can handle really well. Would you say that it would be more beneficial or less beneficial if you have to run through the pack to maybe have one of those big mid-range APX 250s on the back?
I definitely think the more mid-range lends itself to a bigger propeller, and then you can roll on the outside. So I think Dustin, that's right up his alley. So
And
that'll be good. We got a great opportunity the guys that maybe didn't do as good in the first heat, now they're starting up front. Guess what? They go out and win this second heat, they're right back in the mix for the weekend.
Absolutely, and that's again that beautiful, the beautiful aspect of the reverse order of points finish. And again, with this short shoot, right, and this shorter, tighter course, if you get one of those drivers that maybe had a gremlin or had a bad start and they got it dialed in, now they have the ability to dictate and control a lot more of that race if they can get out front and get through turns 3 and 4. And as you know, you don't necessarily have to be faster than the guy that's behind you, but if you can outmaneuver him and outsmart him on the race course, you can keep him behind you, and it's surprising how well that can actually work.
Exactly right, Thomas.
All right, these last couple of...
Grant's motor sounds good, so the old number 13 may be back for this heat.
Absolutely. Looks like he's getting loaded in the water along with his teammate, the 99, Travis Yates, and I'm counting the boats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, looks like we get a couple more. Yep, looks like Spencer Love is making his way in.
They're getting ready to put him in, so we should be starting here momentarily.
Absolutely. Again, those hot laps will allow them to get those motors lubricated and ready to rock and roll before they fire off the dock like rockets on the water here on the San Jacinto River. It's the final round of the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. A big shout out to all of our sponsors. First and foremost, Mercury Racing. Living life at wide open. Mercury Racing, a fantastic sponsor for numerous years. Again, a big partner in us developing this 250 APX motor package that now has been adopted, I believe, globally, correct, Tim? As a motor package for numerous racing series across the world. More drivers are moving over to it. I mean, we've seen drivers have success, but the biggest thing that we've seen is, boy, it's amazing how few of those APX drivers end up in the middle of the race course halfway through it because their motor broke. None of them have that happen to them.
Reliability.
Absolutely.
Apex 250, unbelievably reliable, and that gets you points every single weekend, every single heat. And that's what you got to have if you're going to win a championship.
Absolutely, and I think the more and more we see the Apex come into our world here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, I have a feeling that bandwidth between the last place finisher and the first place is continue to compress itself over the time, where we may see somebody who has a 6th or 7th place finish even next year in one race still end up with a championship at the end of the season. And, you know, that's not something you necessarily see a whole lot in racing. Typically, you know, those top handful of guys.
So the number 24, Spencer Love, they're looking at the boat now. He's got some, and they are going through it. See if they can get him
Check,
out there
check,
for the heat.
check. Check. All right. Yeah, hopefully they can make that a quick fix. They've got their motor cowling off. They're grabbing the diagnostic tools, the wrenches, and everything else to try to get the 24 on the water as they're backing him into the water to see if they can't get this thing rolling. But that's got to be frustrating for the 24. Spencer Love had a solid Heat 1. And, again, he's one of those drivers that's going to benefit from moving up the dock. And I'll tell you, you put Spencer Love out in clean water and allow him to dictate a race. I mean, he's a former champion here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. He knows what he's doing when he gets out on front. He struggled with his motor package earlier on in the season. He started to get it better. If I'm one of the other drivers, the last thing I want to see is the 24 Incubex-sponsored machine out in front here in qualifying Heat 2, because that means it's going to be a very tall task to try to get around him.
Especially a race course this short.
Absolutely.
You know, he accelerates well. He gets off the dock well. So that it plays into his strong hand. He also, for some reason, when he gets out front, he drives a little bit different.
That's weird. Is that
Puts a little
something that
pep in
you've
his
seen
step.
throughout your racing career? Would you notice that guys would drive different if they were out in front versus having to run through the pack?
And it's amazing how fast they get when you come up to them. So some of the guys that you have to lap or during the race, no matter what, the leader gets up to them, they want to race the leader. They do not want to be lapped.
No, of course. Whoever wants to be lapped. Now, at some point, I can appreciate that, you don't want to put yourself in a sticky situation, so you have seen drivers respectfully move over when it makes sense. But again, a guy who's in 5th or 6th place that's fighting to stay on the lead lap is not just going to move out of the way like you were saying earlier today. He's racing for position as well, and so it'll be interesting to see. The hope is that the 24 Spencer Love can actually get that thing fired and out on the water. Looks like they may have gotten it fixed.
His crew is just turning him around, so number 24 is back. Well, they're just wrapping up their warm-up laps. Everybody's going to come back into the dock, get lined up, and guess what? In the amount of time of 5 minutes, that wind is gone. So whatever it was going to do and play into this race and shuffle the deck, it's gone. There's no wind now.
Oh, absolutely. It is. There's going to be no love lost out there on the race course, and that's the great thing about powerboat racing is, and you can attest to this, is you could have your most hated rival on the water, and you could go toe-to-toe, and you could, when you get off the water, people would swear that you guys are arch enemies. But once the helmet comes off, it seems a lot of times that the optics from the drivers change because they recognize that, we're all here to help one another because nobody wants to beat somebody when they're on the beach. They want to beat them on the race course. And talk a little bit about that. That's got to – I know it maybe doesn't always like that.
Sure.
Huh?
You've got rivalries for sure, but that doesn't mean that when you're off the course you're not,
friendly with one
them.
another.
And guess what? And everybody's not best friends.
No.
But they're still here. They respect each other on the course, and that's what you got to have. Fair racing. You got to be able to race deck to deck with somebody and not worry about what they're going to do.
Yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of trust with your fellow racers, and I can imagine that's a sentiment echoed across any form of motorsports racing, is if you have trust with somebody, you can really run them hard. When you don't have that trust, it's a lot harder to push those other drivers to the limit because you just don't know where their line is, right? You know where your own line is that you don't want to cross, right? That line between maximum output and catastrophe. But it's got to be worrisome sometimes when you have those drivers that you maybe don't run with enough or you don't trust enough because you can't seem to really get it to that ragged edge.
Well, you got to know that they're going to be able to hold their lane in the corner because you've got to turn right off their deck. And if they don't hold their lane, it's ugly for both of y'all.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen it happen and before, and we'll probably see it happen again because things happen. That's racing. But how about this? I don't know if you saw this before, but there were no boats there for like a minute and a half, and who was sitting on the pole but Grant Schubert? He was like, listen, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to lock in, I'm going to make sure I get a good jump off the dock. And, boy, if he can put together a run like he did in Colorado and just throw that first heat out the window, they're all going to have their hands full with that red rocket with Captain Marks on the side.
That's right. He showed that he's got the speed, and he showed that he's got the capabilities of driving up front.
Absolutely.
So all we got to do is see it today.
Yeah, and a little bit more experience. I think, next year in 2026, he started off with the APX package. That boat that they had set up for that had kind of come apart, so they decided to move back over to the two-stroke package. Boy, I don't know if they're going to be able to move that thing back to the 4-stroke package with the way that young driver, the 13 at Grant Schubert, has been able to put that Captain Marks machine out on the water, just laying screaming fast times. Again, we mentioned earlier that in Windsor, Colorado, just a month ago in round 5, the 13 at Grant Schubert at 5,000 plus feet took a 2-stroke and kept the man who sits second in points, Chris Rinker, behind him for a 38-lap final, and that's pretty impressive considering the altitude they're at. So, right, but that's what happens when you're young, right? You see the peaks, but the peaks and valleys with young drivers is so much more frequent than you see as that consistency level and that overall experience in the cockpit continues to grow. Boy, those peaks and valleys really start to level themselves out.
Well, with experience comes consistency.
Absolutely.
So, and that's a learning trait that you've got to be able to overcome the highs and lows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at some of our drivers who are in the championship hunt now, 2 years ago, Chris Rinker out in front, barrel rolls right out of the race. A few years ago at Lake of the Ozarks, out in your hometown, the 17 of Dylan Anderson is out in front, and the now retired Terry Rinker is behind him. He pushes it over the limit, goes over. That's not something probably either of those drivers is going to do in 2025, and the only way they were able to get over that was, again, just that consistency, the seat time, the understanding where that ragged edge needs to be without making those bobbles and jumping over that line when you don't want to.
That's right. And we've got the 17 of Dylan Anderson, last boat, coming into the start dock. So
it's got to feel weird for some of these guys, especially if you're like one of the points leaders, you're top 4, and you're like, man, I just won the last heat race, and I'm the last guy to get loaded on the dock.
Yeah, they're used to it.
Fair. They are definitely used to it by now. But it's definitely got to give them a mentality shift as they lock in and we count down to those 20 seconds because they know I've got to do a little bit more because I don't have that advantageous position like I did in qualifying Heat 1.
I think the good drivers know how to block some of that stuff out. When they get in there, their focus is.
All right, coming up on the 1-minute gun. 1 minute drivers, 1 minute. Will the 13 of Grant Schubert be able to take that Captain Mark machines from the top spot on the start dock here in heat number 2 all the way to checkered flag? We're going to find out here in just a little bit. 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. Or will the 99 of Travis Yates or maybe the 98 of Aiden Benton get out in front early and ride their way to victory? 40 seconds, drivers. Or could it be the 24 of Spencer Love and that Incubex machine making their way off the dock and pushing hard out in front? Can he get a Heat 2 victory? 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Or will it be the 29 of Jared Jensen or those top 4 drivers, Jeremiah Mayo, Dustin Terry, Chris Rinker, and our winner from Heat 1, Dylan Anderson? Let's see who's going to finish up Saturday's racing. 20 seconds, drivers. You're under starter's orders. Oh, he drops the flag quick. Great jump there by the 24 of Spencer Love, no surprise. And the 13
Great
of Grant
start by
Schubert.
Spencer. Grant's going to be in a little trouble where he's at.
Oh, let's hit it. Oh, watch out now. Oh, look out. Oh.
He saved it.
Wow, the 99 of Travis Yates almost ran into about 4
Travis
different people. Look at there.
Spencer
Just like
got
you
the
said.
start he wanted, and look who's right behind him.
Wow, the one of Dustin Terry wide to the outside did exactly what you thought he was going to do, Tim. And he went slingshotting to the outside, and he slingshotted all the way up into second place. Boy, I bet you that smile in there is ear to ear right now. He's got to be so excited about how great of a start he got there that won in Dustin Terry.
Well, but he's got the hard charger right behind him.
Absolutely.
And Jeremiah is not going to quit.
No, especially.
He's got the inside, but Dustin's using the outside lane. Oh, that hurt Jeremiah. Dustin closed the door, and Jeremiah had to skip through his rooster tail and get on that hard water and went way wide.
Absolutely. The 17 of Dylan Anderson all the way moved up to 4th. But how about this? The 52 of Chris Rinker all the way back in 7th position here. What is going on with the 52 of Chris Rinker? He just can't seem to get by some of these other boats here. But, boy, right now it's all about Spencer Love as he's continuing to fire hard. And 17 of Dylan Anderson, they better watch out because he's coming for him. That's for sure.
Chris Rinker's got to take the outside line and see if he can work up past Travis. Travis has got a good run going.
As our leader continues to push hard down the front straightaway and continue to work hard, the 24 Spencer Love trying to right the ship after a rough qualifying heat number 1. It was almost catastrophe when he didn't fire in heat 2. They had to work out some electrical issues. They got him figured out, and boy, he's running that thing well. And so is the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo. He's continued to stay ahead of the 29 of Jared Jensen, and Jensen is pushing the 17 of Dylan Anderson all the way to the limit in that top 5. And how about the 52 of Chris Rinker? I am so stunned that he's as far back as he is.
Chris might have changed props and went the wrong way.
And that's what, right? That's that crux. Do I mess with it? Do I not mess with it?
Exactly.
And sometimes you choose right, sometimes you don't.
Dylan's running good. He's creeping up slowly on Jared Jensen, number 29. And Jared's holding his own with everybody. You're seeing second, third, fourth, fifth, all about the same distance apart. But Spencer is just rolling out front.
Absolutely. He is absolutely screaming fast as he pushes that 2.5 liter as hard as it'll go with that Incubex sponsor on the side. And then it's the 1 of Dustin Terry, followed by the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo. And Jeremiah's continuing to push hard. He's got to keep an eye on the 29 of Jared Jensen as he's right in his hip pocket. But boy, look at that 4-second lead for the 24 of Spencer Love. I guarantee you, if you put a betting schedule together after Heat 1, nobody would have picked this happening. 4.5-second lead halfway through this second qualifying heat here in Formula 1.
That shows you how critical it is to get off the dock, especially in heat number 2, heat number 3.
Absolutely, and he did exactly what you expected him to do. He got off the dock screaming fast, and he was out in so far out in front of everybody, but that he was able to gather all that clean water, no wash around him. And boy, it's clearly paying off for the 24 Spencer Love as he ticks off another lap. We've got 4 minutes, 29 seconds, plus 1 lap remaining here in this final qualifying heat on Saturday. 1 more to go tomorrow, and then the main event where we'll crown a champion here in 2025 as we pick up with the 52 of Chris Rinker. There's the driver out of Spring, Texas.
Let's see if Dustin is. Let's keep an eye on the interval between Spencer and Dustin, because it appears that Dustin is gaining a little bit on him.
Yeah, the question is, will he have enough time with 3 minutes and 57 seconds there? But you stand with the 52 of Chris Rinker and that Evolution Market-sponsored machine. He's pushing hard. And
that came down a second in the last lap.
Wow, yeah, we went from 4.09 to 2.15 seconds. He is continuing to push hard because right now Terry's looking for some breathing room. I guarantee you his radio team's telling him, hey, Rinker's mired back in 5th. Yates is keeping him in bay. Go, 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 because he wants to have as much of a cushion as possible, especially going into that main event if he can help it.
But he doesn't need to worry about Spencer. All he needs to do is keep the other boats behind him, let Spencer run off, and win the heat.
Absolutely. As Terry goes wide out of turn number 4, he is continuing to slow that grab. Now we're down under 2 seconds, 1.92. And there again is the 52 of Chris Rinker that's sitting back there in 7th position with that Evolution Markets Rinker Boat World Mastercraft on the side. I am stunned at how much that has affected the 52 of Chris Rinker, as that driver is just not able to get around the 99 of Travis Yates. Now we jump over to the 29 of Jared Jensen. He's in 4th, fighting with the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo.
Jeremiah's right up on Dustin. Dustin slams the door again. Dustin has got to keep pushing because Jeremiah is right on him.
Absolutely, and you know, then you got Jensen right behind him, and sometimes that guy who's behind the first 2 battles benefits greatly because he's able to gain up a ton of ground, but he also looks back and sees that bright blue Anderson
then
ring
you got
machine
17.
in his rearview mirror. Dylan
Anderson, he's pulling up on Jensen.
And
it's getting interesting here.
Absolutely. The 8 of Jeremiah Mayo flying down the backside. There we go, overhead of that orange and white Outlaw F1 Ray Bob seasoning. He goes through the wash of the 01 of Dustin Terry. Terry doing a great job of knowing how the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo runs, and he seems to find a way to scrub the lane that Jeremiah wants to take inside of every single corner.
Well, Dustin's using an outside line, but when he goes into the entry of turn 1 and turn 3, he's going back on the buoy, which takes the line away from Jeremiah.
Absolutely, and he comes wide, and then when he exits turn numbers 2 and 4, he's now exiting on the pin, so that inside line is completely gone, and he's got to move to the outside or at least find some way to get outside of that wash because there's...
Now, Jeremiah's got to try a different line. He keeps doing the same line. He gets up to him, but then when he gets up to so close, then Dustin comes over on him and he loses all his momentum. Look at the back straightaway.
Oh, they got a battle
Dylan
on the back
Anderson
straightaway.
Passing Jensen. Got up on the inside of him.
Yeah, he did. Looks like the 98 of Aiden Benton in that TCPI cap.
Lost his rear cowling.
Lost his rear cowling. It's floating out there on the outside of the front straightaway. Boy, Anderson, what a great move there on the inside of the 29 of Jensen. He knew he needed to do that. The question is, he's got 52 seconds plus 1 lap. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to catch the hard-charging 8 of Jeremiah Mayo, but he's got to feel good to at least claw back some more points after a rough go of it on the start here, considering he was going from last off the dock.
That's right. He got a good start, but when you're in lane 10, 11, 12, it's hard to be able to come over at the first turn because it's such a short distance. You don't have any top end to where you can pull over.
Absolutely. Now we're going to stay on top with our leader, the 24, Spencer Love, working it down through turn number 3. Now sweeps it off at turn number 4, out past the peninsula. Swinging it down the front straightaway. Here he goes. White flag is out. Go fast. Turn left. Just 4 more times for the driver out of Santa Rosa Valley, California, running for Clover Construction. And this weekend for Incubix, pushing hard down the back straightaway. Now there's the second place boat, the 01 of Dustin Terry, followed by the third place boat of 8 of Jeremiah Mayo.
Jensen slows down. 1 lap to go.
No. Oh, no.
I think
frustrating.
That might have been a miscue.
Oh, no, maybe he hit a power steering or shut the motor off accidentally. But, ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you put your hands together. Winning qualifying heat number 2.
Right.
Number 24, Spencer Love. And in a tight battle for second and third, the 01 of Dustin Terry gained some breathing room here in the series championship with a second place finish, followed by the 8 of Jeremiah Mayo, the 17 of Dylan Anderson, the 99 of Travis Yates, the 52 of Chris Rinker, the 13 of Grant Schubert, the 29 of Jared Jensen, and rounding out the field, the 98 of Aiden Benton that lost the rear cowling. And it looks like that might be affecting some of the performance on that lee hull as he quickly turns around and is hoping to get that boat out off the water because you're in that brackish water. You get any of that brackish water inside that center pod, it could be disastrous here in a Formula One boat.
It sure can. A lot of electrical gremlins can pop up from brackish water. Makes it more conductive, but it couldn't work out any better for Dustin that last heat race.
Oh, absolutely. No way it could have been any better. He was able to get a really, really good start. He went from second to third to last off the start dock all the way up to second here in this second heat. And I think that's one of the reasons why somebody asked me earlier, how does the driver who hasn't won a race all year, how is he winning the points? Now, outside of the extenuating circumstances for a couple of the drivers, the other thing he's done is he has been fantastic in the reverse order of points heats. You look at Marble Falls, he won that reverse order of points.
Altney won one, I believe.
Yes, correct. So he's done a really good job.
He's doing what he needs to do in those heat races to keep him in the game.
And that's right, and that's the name of the game, is to make sure that you're consistently collecting as many points as possible every single heat race. And boy, he's done a fantastic job here today. Really set himself up for success. The question is can he do it again tomorrow as he's going to start from even further back on the start pontoon in qualifying heat number 3.
Well, man, what a fantastic day for racing. The weather was outstanding. We got a big day ready for us tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And we're going to crown some champions.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. After a long, hard-fought season that started in April with our first race of the year and is going to conclude here in October. For you fans here locally and those of you watching online, we're going to be going live tomorrow starting at 11:45, so a little bit earlier of a start tomorrow. Then we're going to have our Formula Lights out for their third and final qualifying heat. They'll set their starting order. Then the Texas Tri-Hulls will come back out for their third and final qualifying heat. They'll get their final set. And then we have that final heat of Formula One where these guys are going to be slugging it out and wrapping up the day with 3 championships here at the Battle on the San Jacinto and 3 season championships in all three classes, Formula Lights, Formula One, and Texas Trial. It's going to be a fantastic way to put a bow on the 2025 season.
It will. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming out and enjoying the racing with us today, and hopefully you can come back tomorrow and see some exciting
Absolutely.
racing.
Those of you who might be watching online from somewhere in or near or around the greater Houston metro, come on down to Highlands, Texas. We're about a half hour east of downtown, just north off of I-10. Right. Right now, we are going to send things down to our pit reporter, Kay Myers, as she's with the rocket on the water in qualifying heat number 2, the number 24 of Spencer Love.
All right, we have the winner of the last heat, Spencer Love. You know, it was a great run, but it started with some issues here on the launch. What was going on?
I don't know. They're just banging it. Nothing started working. So yeah, I think it might be a starter. We probably got to replace the starter. There's probably a bad spot in it or something, or maybe it was a solenoid. I haven't even talked to him about it yet.
Every course has their certain challenge. The challenge that I noticed on that last heat was when you left the dock, the first thing you did was went straight into that sun. Tell our fans what it was like and guide us through that first turn.
Luckily, the windshields are tinted on our boats, so it helps a lot. Because, yeah, before we were at the start, I had to leave the canopy open just to block the sun because it was blinding. So got to thank Rick for putting smoked windshields in these boats and making so we can see.
Well, I don't know if you could hear it, but this whole crowd was jumping up and down with that heat. What do you got to say back to your fans and to your team?
Well, I had to show Shelby I could still win a heat every once in a while, so I'm her biggest fan.
You have a lot of fans. You got a lot of fans right around here. You got a special one way back there. What do you got to say to your lovely bride back there?
Thanks for all your help.
A man of many words, as we say. This is Spencer Love, your winner of our last and final heat of the day. Congratulations, another checkered flag in the Clover Construction.
Thank you very much.
All right, what a great run that was for the 24 Spencer Love as we wrap up activity here. Boy, Tim, what a great day of racing it was so far, and another day on the docket for tomorrow.
It was. I'm just at awe with our drivers and how well they did today. I want to give a shout out to one of our Formula Lights drivers, Eric Weinzak, and he's had some medical issues, and I know he is watching this show from his hospital room. We want to wish him a speedy recovery, and so he can come back and see his boat racing family.
Absolutely, Eric. We hope hope things are getting better. Hopefully we put on a good show for you here today. I know we did. And we'll be able to hopefully chat here soon, and safe, good recovery, and take care of yourself, young man. Well, all right, race fans, that's going to wrap it up here for Saturday's racing. On behalf of the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series, my new play-by-play partner and boss, Tim Siebold, as well as myself, Thomas Yarbrough. They call me the Noise of the North. Thank you so much for joining us today here for Saturday qualifying at the final round of the 2025 Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. Here, it's the battle on the San Jacinto. We'll thank our sponsors and wrap everything up for the night. Good night, God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow.